Hi guys, and welcome back to Marketed Online Classes. My name is Nita, your physical and online instructor. So in our last class we had actually cut or drafted our Overbust corset. So these are the things we're going to use for making. So I have my A-stay, I have my cloth stay. Now all this depends on the kind of fabric you're working with. So I have my A-stay, I have my cloth stay, I have my chantilly, I have my crepe. This is Korean crepe, and I have my bridal satin. Though theirs here is very stiff, I will still use the light stay on it. All right, so those are the things we're going to be working with. I have my boning for caging, okay, and I still have I'm using two different ones. I have the one for also just boning my star lines. All right, so I'm going to be ironing the stay on this. You guys know how to do all of that, and then when it's time for cutting, I'll show you. Okay guys, so I have cut out the overbust corset, the pattern. I've cut out the pattern, so I added. Now if you're going to be using bias at your hemline, right, then don't add the 1/2 inch I added here. All right, because you can as well use bias. But if you're going to turn it, then you're going to actually have to add your 1/2 inch. So what I did was just add 1/2 inch around. Like I told you guys, I wasn't sure if I wanted to separate this, but I will be putting a star line using my boning, right? So I'll just draw it and add it on. I didn't want to go through much work making this. So this is it. So cut yours. Now I'm going to iron on my bust pad to the other one. Mind you, I have, okay. So I have my bridal satin that is going to go for my lining, and I have my main fabric here. Okay, so that's what you're going to cut. So I'm having those pieces, same everywhere, lining, main fabric. All right, so I'm going to iron on the pad and then we'll start sewing. So we are now going to sew it. All right, so as I've shown you, those are the fabrics we are going to be using to make this, and I've been able to get the ironing done as well. So this is the lining fabric. I've ironed on my A-stay on it, and I've also ironed on my breast part on it, wadding. All right, so I've also ironed on my wadding on it. You know how to do all of this. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do here is to join these pieces together. All right, then for the main fabric, all right, I've also ironed on my cloth stay on it as well. Okay, so you can also use your A-stay on it, you know, whatever you want. So this is my main fabric. So I'm going to join all the pieces together and then show you what next to do. I want the video to be as fast as possible because we are taking too much time, you know, doing the pattern drafting. All right, so I'll start with this, and also I've cut out strips that I'm going to use to turn the boning, you know, that I'm using for the main fabric. I'm using on the style lines of this main fabric. So you cut out your strips also like this. Okay, all right, so I'm going to join all of it and then come back and show you. Okay, so I've done all the joining and it's time to, so I've joined all of them, all the pieces, but just like the front separate and the back separate. Okay, so I'm marking where I'm going to do my bust caging now, because this is what I'm using for my bust caging. So you can decide to mark yours anyhow, you know. So I'll just mark the places I'm caging, and then I'm going to show you, you know, how to do that. Okay, So I've marked everywhere I'm going to be putting the boning on. All right. So those are the places I'm going to cage. So I'll do that and come back and show you. Okay. So I'm done with the caging, right? And I've ironed it. So I've placed it on the bust ham, and I have ironed it, to give me, to mold it. So you just have to iron and mold it, okay? And then when you're done, I got this from, I mean, you can get it in the market. Like if you're in Lagos, you can get this at Tejo. But I got mine, if you're in US, like any Walmart should have this. And it's called a quilt bedding. So anyway, but you can find this. It's fiber. In Nigeria, it's called fiber. And you can find it at Tejo or any upholstery shop. Okay, so we're going to place this over it like this and stitch it round. So I'll just cut off what I need. At the same time, just try not to waste it as well. So I just need it to cover up. So when you get yours from Tejo, it has layers. So you're not using the whole layer. You just separate it and use like 2 layers or thereabout. I don't know how it will be when you get it, but I know I used to buy it from Tejo. So I'm just cutting what I need to use. Okay. So this is what I need to use. All right. So it's just to flesh it, so you don't feel like the bone part of it and all that. So this is the first layer, second layer, right? So I'm just using 2. Can use as much as you want. So once I lay it, then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to stitch following the lines I have made. I'm just stitching it like this, round, and that is it. So that's what I'm going to do now and show you. So once you're done sewing it round, then you're going to trim it off. Right? So that's it. So you've been able to do that. So now we're going to move to boning the main fabric. All right, so that's the next thing we're going to do. Okay, so it's time to put our bonings and all of that. So I want to try and create our channels, like style lines. Initially I said I didn't have all those cuts. If you choose to put your cuts, you can do that. But in my own case, I'm going to create channels, okay, to where I'm going to be having my style lines. Okay, so my chalk actually goes off if I use heat on it. So those are the style lines I'm trying to mark for myself. You can put as much as you want. All right, so I'm having one here, I'm going to have one here. I can still decide to have another one in between. So it all depends on what you want. So here as well, I'm going to be having one at this point. I'm going to slant it. You know, I divided this part into two, so I'll have one coming like that. All right. So at this point as well, now you can have up to, like I said, as many as you want. So this, and don't forget that you're keeping your half an inch. So make sure that your boning is not so close to your half of an inch. So I'm going to still have one here that is actually at this point going to slant this way. All right. Have you seen that? I'm going to be trying to curve one a bit, just a bit, to make it follow the shape at this point. So like I said, you can have as many as you can, even have one coming down straight and then put another one coming this way. Okay, it's still a design however you want to. So I may follow this route if I choose to, and then place another one that comes this way. It's still fine. So whatever I have here is the same thing. So look at it properly. You know, that's the way I'm going to follow my bow. You can put your boning or your style lines as you want it. Like I said, if I want to, I can still add one more at this point here. You know, so it all depends on how much style lines you want. Now if you're a plus size, it's good to add as many style lines as possible. It will just help, you know, cinch your body, you know, properly. All right, so please, I'm going to do that. I'm going to be turning my so also the style I'm using to create my boning is, I cut my boning, you know, this is 2.5 inches. You can actually cut the one that you stitch, bring it out, like you sew it down, pull it out, and then feed in your boning. It still works very well, you know. Like most times I prefer that one because it just makes the work neat. And if you're not doing that one, then if you're doing that one, then you just need to cut about 1 inch of your strip, like a width of it, not the 2.5 I'm using. But if you're going to use this method, then you're going to stitch this down at the edge, right? And then flip this backwards to this point. So you're just closing it and stitch it down. So most times, most people say this is far easier for them because you're not sewing, pulling out and all of that. But for me, anyone works perfectly. All right. So let's go on, and I'm going to turn all of this, come back and show you when I want to start boning. Okay guys, so I'm at the last of the whole boning thing. So I've boned all the channels I wanted to, so I'll show you now. So this is the back. I hope you can see. This is black, so it's so difficult to see, right? So can you see that? So I've actually boned my back channel. I'm also done with the, so that's my two back and this is the front. So please run your bonings just however you want it, okay? So I'm done with the boning part and now we are going to put them together, so I'll show you that. Okay, so this is the back the back lining piece, okay? So for this back lining piece, I'm going to bone it, right? So I'm just going to be running my boning on it, okay? So I'm going to leave half an inch. I'll bone this part. I'll put the second boning and put the third boning. That's what I'm going to do here. So all what I want to do is place my boning. I'm going to have one here. I'll have the second one and I'm going to have the third one. So I'm going to do that and then come back and show you. Okay guys, so I I'm done with this. Okay, so that's what I did for the lining piece. This is the lining piece, so I placed this here. Okay, so now I'm going to iron it and then we'll put it together. All right, so we're going to sew on the pieces together. My main piece of the front, my main and the lining piece. So I'm going to stitch it together at the neck, the armhole, and the whole hemline. All right, so stitch together the neck, armhole, and the hemline. Please leave the sides open. That is if you choose to turn it. So just follow what I'm doing. Okay, so I've sewn here. Okay, like I said, the neckline, the armhole, and the hem part of it. All right, so I'm going to turn it to the other side. So I'm going to also do the same thing to the main fabric as well. All right, I'll stitch here, but for the main fabric here, the part for the loops and the hemline, that's what you're going to stitch. So I'm still going to do that and show you. Okay, so I have turned the back part as well, and I've also added plastic boning into this before I turned it. So I have regular boning that I sewed on, and I now fed in plastic boning, in between it. Then I'll use this middle part for okay, so I've sewn this. Have you seen? I sewed it to the outside, right? So I'm going to trim it off just a little bit, and then I'm going to bone this portion of it. That's it. So I'm going to sew the same thing at the other side, and then I'll show you how I want to do this. All right, guys, so you see I've trimmed this. So you can bone this if you choose to, but I've chosen not to bone it. It's a choice, so I folded the edge, I'll place it here, right, and I'll stitch it all the way down. So that's how I'm going to finish it up. All right, so I'll do that and I'll come back and show you. Okay, so that is the side. I've done that. So like I said, if you want to put boning, you can go ahead and bone yours, but I chose not to, and because I'm using a smaller machine, so I don't want to overstress the machine. All right, so that's the side. Okay, and it's still going to lay perfectly fine. I've done this with another corset and it works perfectly well as well. Okay. So we are almost done, and then we are going to put the loops at the back. So that's what the back looks like. All right. Okay, so my name is Nita, and this has been our online class, and I'll be showing you the final look. And please subscribe to our new channel that is Macadel Fashion TV. Please subscribe. We're bringing you lots of stuffs on the channel. I'm going to give this a good press piece. You have to give it a good press. All right, then you're going to see the final look. All right, so we'll look at it, what it looks like to create the holes to fit in the loops. All right, so that's it. And the next thing I'm going to do, of course, you have to iron all of this out properly. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is, remember that we have the sides open. Now I'm going to join it, okay, to the right side. So I'm joining right side to right side of the side seam. That's how I'm ending my whole stuff right? So I'm going to join it, and then I'm going to use my boning to add. I'm going to add a bone to the side seam. You can choose to add, you can choose not to add. It all depends on what you want. I mean, it's Resilient boning, so it's actually flexible. So I'm going to sew this together, and then I'll show you what I'm doing next. Okay, so I've sewn this. Have you seen? I sewed it to the outside, right? So I'm going to trim it off just a little bit, and then I'm going to bone this portion of it. That's it. So I'm going to sew the same thing at the other side, and then I'll show you how I want to do this. Alright guys, so you see I've trimmed this. So you can bone this if you choose to, but I've chosen not to bone it. It's a choice, you know. So I've folded the edge, I'll place it here, right, and I'll stitch it all the way down. So that's how I'm going to finish it up. Alright, so I'll do that and I'll come back and show you. Okay, so that is the side. I've done that. So like I said, if you want to put boning, you can go ahead and, you know, bone yours, but I chose not to. And because I'm using a smaller machine, so I don't want to like overstress the machine. All right, so that's the side. Okay, and it's still going to lay perfectly fine. You know, I've done this with another corset and it works perfectly well as well. Okay. So we're going to put the eyelets, and then we are going to at the back. So that's what the back looks like. All right. Okay, so my name is Nita, and this has been our online class, and I'll be showing you the final look. And please subscribe, subscribe. We're bringing you lots of stuffs on the channel. I'm going to give this a good press, please. You know, you have to give it a good press. All right, then you're going to see the final look. All right, so we'll look at it, what it looks like.